Summary: Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. Memoir by Matthew Perry. Introduction: Story of Survival. In Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, Matthew Perry delivers an unflinchingly honest and deeply personal memoir chronicling his life from early childhood through the height of fame on Friends and into the harrowing depths of drug and alcohol addiction. More than a celebrity tell-all, it's raw, witty, and courageous account of a man who's fought for decades to stay alive, navigate fame, and find meaning beyond stardom. Humor, heartbreak, and humility, Perry offers a rare glimpse behind the mask of beloved public figure who lived private nightmare. Part 1. Haunted Beginnings. Perry's story begins with his early childhood in Ottawa, Canada. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he was raised by his mother, Susan Morrison, journalist and press aide to then Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. Perry's father, John Bennett Perry, was an actor and model based in Los Angeles. The young Matthew was emotionally unsettled, constantly longing for a cohesive, stable family. By the age of 5, he was grappling with feelings of abandonment and loss. As boy, Perry was bright, charming, and deeply insecure. He recalls early signs of addictive behavior, stealing quarters from his mother's purse to buy comic books or obsessively competing in sports. Moved to Los Angeles to live with his father in his teens introduced him to acting, despite growing desire to be loved, and noticed Perry was already beginning to mask his deeper wounds with humor and performance. Part 2. The Rise to Fame. Perry's early forays into acting landed him minor TV roles, and after years of hustling, he finally achieved breakthrough success in 1994 with Friends. Cast as the sarcastic and neurotic Chandler Bing, Perry quickly became a household name. The show was a cultural phenomenon, and for 10 seasons it brought joy to millions around the world. Yet behind the scenes, Perry was unraveling. He vividly recalls that millions laughed at his jokes on Thursday nights. He was often experiencing crippling self-doubt, loneliness, and growing dependence on alcohol and Vicodin. His addiction escalated during the early seasons of Friends, often visible in his fluctuating weight and energy on screen. There were times, he writes, that he would show up on set having taken over 50 pills the night before. Perry provides candid, behind-the-scenes view of Friends, offering effective portraits of his co-stars, especially Jennifer Aniston, whom he admired deeply. He speaks gratefully about their kindness, particularly when they tried to intervene during his darkest moments. The cast was family, but even their closeness couldn't rescue him from his inner torment. Part 3. The Big Terrible Thing. The Big Terrible Thing, as Perry calls it, is addiction. Relentless force that overshadowed all his achievements. He describes cycle of detox, rehab, relapse, and recovery that spanned decades. At one point, he was consuming 55 Vicodin a day, washing them down with vodka. He underwent 14 stomach surgeries, spent over $9 million trying to get sober, and survived 2% chance of living when colon burst due to opioid overuse. Perry recounts a devastating period in 2018 when he spent 5 months in the hospital and 9 months with colostomy bag. These physical traumas, though excruciating, were a wake-up call. Throughout this part of the memoir, Perry does not shy away from the grotesque or painful details. His honesty is part confessional, part cautionary tale. He discusses other celebrity encounters, like dating Julia Roberts, his interactions with River Phoenix, but always circles back to his self-sabotage and inner demons. The pattern becomes tragically familiar: success followed by feeling of unworthiness, followed by relapse. Part 4. Love and Loneliness. Despite the many relationships in his life, including high-profile romances and hopeful engagements, Perry repeatedly confronts his inability to maintain intimacy. The memoir's title, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, refers to this trio of forces in his life, with the lover's part being particularly elusive. His fear of abandonment, anxiety, and addiction sabotaged almost every romantic connection. Poignantly explores his desperate longing for love, family, and children, and the crushing realization that he might not get to experience those things. His relationships were often marked by charm and intensity at first, followed by withdrawal and emotional shutdown. Still, he never stops yearning for deep, lasting bond. Part 5. Recovery, Faith, and Hope. Toward the end of the memoir, Perry's tone shifts from despair to more hopeful, if fragile, peace. He describes sobriety as daily commitment, and one that he takes seriously, knowing how many chances he's already had. He explores spirituality and how prayer, surrender, and service helped rebuild his life. He writes about his involvement with other recovering addicts and how helping others became one of the few ways on purpose. He even turned his former Malibu home into a sober living house, testament to his desire to give back and stay grounded in recovery. Importantly, Perry doesn't portray himself as pure. Instead, he paints a portrait of man constantly choosing life over death, minute by minute. He ends with a powerful message: If his story helps even one person seek help, the pain he endured was worth it. Themes and reflections. The addiction and identity. Perry's memoir delves into the corrosive nature of addiction, how it corrodes identity, sabotages relationships, and distorts reality. He reveals how much of his public persona masked deep pain and insecurity. Fame versus fulfillment. Perry challenges the myth that success equates to happiness. Even at the peak of his fame, he was profoundly unhappy. The applause never reached his core wounds, loneliness and vulnerability. His story is riddled with heartbreak, not just from failed relationships, but from his own inability to connect due to fear and trauma. He bravely opens up about his need for connection and how addiction often drove him further away from it. Humor is shield. Perry's self-deprecating wit remains sharp throughout the memoir. In its darkest moments, it becomes clear that humor was both gift and defense mechanism. Way to survive when nothing else worked. Conclusion, an ongoing story. Friends, lovers, and the big terrible thing is not redemption tale wrapped in neat bow. It's messy, painful, brutally honest, and full of compassion. Matthew Perry doesn't present himself as hero, but as human being whose life has been marked by love, laughter, and immense suffering. He offers this memoir as lifeline to others caught in addiction, hoping his pain might be a lantern in someone else's darkness. It's also testament to resilience, that even someone who nearly lost everything can find reasons to keep going. This is not just the story of Chandler Bing, it's the story of Matthew Perry. Flawed, funny, broken, and brave, man who has lived to tell the tale, and in doing so helps others tell theirs. Book review, an unflinching gaze into the heart of addiction, an analytical review of Matthew Perry's A Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing memoir. Matthew Perry's Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing memoir arrived amidst considerable anticipation, not merely because of his enduring global fame as Chandler Bing from the iconic sitcom Friends, but because it promised raw, unprecedented dive into the profound personal struggles that often beneath his on-screen comedic brilliance. Published in late 2022, the memoir quickly distinguished itself from typical celebrity tell-alls, emerging instead as brutally honest and deeply affecting chronicle decades-long battle with addiction pervasive. Big terrible thing that shaped, nearly ended, and ultimately defined much of his adult life. This book is less celebration of stardom and more stark, vital testament to the insidious nature of disease, painted with the poignant brushstrokes of Perry's signature wit and remarkable vulnerability. At its core, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing is an addiction narrative, and it is here that the memoir truly earns its significant weight. Perry pulls back the curtain on the staggering severity and relentless grip of his substance abuse, detailing his harrowing dance with alcohol, opioids, and other drugs that commenced in his youth and escalated dramatically throughout his career. Even at the zenith of his friend's popularity, he does not shy away from the details of his physical and psychological decline. The countless relapses, the repeated stints in rehabilitation centers, the immense financial drain, estimated in the millions of dollars, and the profound physical toll that led to numerous surgeries and near-fatal health crises, most notably a burst colon that left him in a coma and on life support. His descriptions of lying in hospital beds, clinging to life, or the chilling calculations of how many he needed to get through a day are delivered with an unflinching honesty that is both shocking and deeply empathetic. The memoir vividly illustrates the physical decay, the fluctuating weight from a skeletal 128 pounds to a bloated 235 pounds at various stages, and the constant, debilitating mental anguish. The pervasive loneliness, the gnawing despair, the all-consuming preoccupation with drugs, and the corrosive shame, self-hatred that fueled the cycle. Perry's willingness to expose these raw, often embarrassing truths is perhaps the memoir's greatest strength, making it an invaluable resource for understanding the true, unglamorous face of addiction. He dissects the cyclical nature of relapse and recovery, the fleeting moments of hard-won sobriety often followed by crushing returns to dependency, thereby laying bare the insidious, cunning, and powerful grip of the disease and, crucially, agonizing resilience required to fight it. The backdrop to this intensely personal struggle is inevitably the unparalleled phenomenon of Friends. The memoir offers unique, albeit often painful, glimpses into the world's most beloved sitcom. Perry describes the camaraderie and profound bond he shared with his castmates. Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer, portraying them not just as colleagues but as surrogate family who, despite their confusion, frustration, remained largely supportive, often helpless observers to his self-destruction. He reflects on the immense pressure of global stardom, the surreal experience of living in fishbowl, and the profound irony of playing character who brought so much joy to millions while he privately battled inner demons that threatened to consume him. The Chandler persona, with its quick wit and comedic timing, often served as shield or desperately needed distraction from suffering. The memoir underscores the stark paradox of his life. Public adoration and unparalleled success contrasted with private despair and life-threatening illness. It serves as a potent reminder that fame and wealth offer no immunity from personal demons, nor do they provide inherent solutions to fundamental human problems like addiction. His interactions with his co-stars are treated with affection and respect, but he remains steadfast in his focus on his own journey, never allowing the allure of friends' anecdotes to overshadow the central theme of his fight for survival. Beyond the bright lights of Hollywood and the dark shadows of addiction, Perry delves into other significant relationships that shaped his life. He touches upon his childhood marked by his parents' divorce and his experiences growing up with a famous father, John Bennett Perry, and a politically engaged mother, Susan Morrison. These early dynamics, he suggests, contributed to some of his lifelong insecurities and a deep-seated yearning for validation and love. His romantic relationships, too, are explored through the lens of his addiction, revealing how the disease permeated and often sabotaged his ability to form and maintain healthy, stable connections. He speaks with frankness about the challenges of dating while famous and simultaneously wrestling with his personal demons, often finding himself unable to prioritize genuine connection over the immediate gratification offered by substances. Underlying these struggles, however, is a persistent, almost desperate quest for true love, acceptance, and a sense of belonging, a yearning that addiction perpetually deferred. A distinctive feature of Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing is Perry's unmistakable narrative style. Even in the recounting of his most traumatic and darkest moments, his signature wit and dry, often self-deprecating humor shine through. This comedic timing, honed over decades, serves not as a means to trivialize his pain, but as a coping mechanism, a way to make the unbearable bearable and to render his deeply personal story relatable. The tone is direct, conversational, and remarkably intimate, drawing readers into his headspace. He employs striking level of self-awareness and brutal honesty, analyzing his own behaviors, motivations, and the complex psychological underpinnings of his addiction. This introspection provides invaluable insights into the addict's mind, demystifying some of the baffling choices made under the influence of the disease. The memoir structure, while largely chronological, occasionally leaps in time, mirroring the chaotic and unpredictable nature of addiction itself, which feel like a relentless cycle of progress and regression. Ultimately, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing transcends the typical celebrity memoir to become a powerful work of advocacy and a beacon of hope. Despite the grim subject matter and the countless setbacks, Perry recounts an undeniable message of perseverance, and the possibility of recovery permeates the narrative. His unwavering commitment to sobriety, even after seemingly insurmountable odds, and his fervent desire to help others struggling with addiction are central to the book's purpose. He champions destigmatization, openly sharing his story to let others know they are not alone in their battles. The memoir resonated deeply with audiences not just because of his Friends association, but because it is a raw, relatable testament to the human spirit's capacity. Resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. Tragically, Perry's untimely passing shortly after the memoir's release adds another profound layer of poignancy and urgency to his words, solidifying the book as a poignant final testament to his life's most arduous fight. In conclusion, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing is an impactful and courageously honest memoir. Matthew Perry masterfully navigates the treacherous landscape of addiction with a blend. Dark humor, candid vulnerability, and profound introspection. It is a compelling and essential read, not just for fans of Friends, but for anyone seeking to understand the harrowing realities of addiction, the profound strength required for recovery, and the enduring human quest for peace and meaning amidst life's most formidable challenges. The book stands as a powerful legacy, a testament to a life lived both in the glaring spotlight and in the dark shadows, ultimately dedicated to shedding light on a pervasive and misunderstood illness.